Well, what a day for political disgrace. And as I said earlier, I cannot recall reporting on so many cases of alleged corruption or misconduct in the one single day ever. Meanwhile, some of our independent MPs are meeting with the new Prime Minister for the very first time since the election. And they've been informed about this new code of conduct, which will include training on discrimination and harassment. One Nation Leader Pauline Hanson had her private meeting with the PM only yesterday, and she came up with a present for Albo as well. Pauline, thank you very much for joining us. Before we talk about your present for Albo, we'll keep people in suspense.
Yep.
Do you blame Senator Murray Watt or the government for allowing foot and mouth into this country?
Of course I do. You know, we're talking about a senator who's a lawyer, lives in a penthouse on the Gold Coast. What does he know about agriculture? I don't know why he was given that portfolio. He's handled this like a bloody idiot because how important it is if we get it into the country. England had it years ago. I know of farmers over there. For 20 years now, they haven't been able to put stock on their farm, probably not for another 10 years. We rely on the beef industry for, you know, our exports for here in the country. It will destroy the whole industry. As I said, $80 billion. What you've been calling for, what I've thought myself, close the borders. Matt is saying we need tourism. No, we don't. We need to protect our industries here in Australia. Once they're gone, they want to get rid of the coal industry, the mining, and what else have we got brings money in the country is our livestock industry, and that will go. So what will leave it? We'll be left with nothing, Chris. Sorry.
You've got to use your tools, as we said last week, Pauline. You've got to use the tools you've got to keep this thing out. And it's only now, once it's in, that he's decided to use those tools. And the other thing he should be doing is saying, hold on, pork products from China, stop tonight. No more, can't come in.
When they actually did that was under the Howard government. They actually got rid of the tariffs on the pork coming into Australia. And therefore we were flooded in Australia with the pork products, which destroyed our pork industry. Now, Denmark kept their tariffs on for years and years and years. We destroyed our own pork industry. It was because I was screaming about it.
Yeah.
The government then gave them $19 million to actually prop up the pork industry. We have destroyed ourselves, our own industries in this country because of governments and the decisions that they're making. That's why I'm always complaining about it all the time, Chris. You know, support our own industries by all means. Put the tariffs back on if it means protecting our own industries.
All right, we'll take our blood pressure down a few notches. What did you give Albo?
I gave him a stubby cooler, and if people have seen them, many people have bought our stubby coolers, and it was to do with the series, the Please Explain series, where I was the teacher, he was the other, and I gave it to him, and he had a chuckle over it, and I said congratulations, and I did congratulate him on his win, and I said top of the class. Albo, Pauline Hanson from Pauline. So anyway, and he's got his little dog, Toto, there, licking his face. So he's quite happy with that.
Just like in the series. Fantastic. Now, although I must say, Labor sent its emissions target legislation to everyone else but One Nation. That was very convenient, Pauline.
Oh, I'm furious about that. You know, he spoke about he wants to be open with everyone, he wants to work with the crossbench, he wants to work with the government, all the rest of it. Well, why give this legislation to the Greens and to David Pocock? We had to go chasing after it. I still haven't seen it. So it's like we're not going to deal with the ones that aren't on our side, and I'm probably too far right for them. But it's about accountability. I've been elected by the people of Queensland to represent them. I have a right to see this legislation and get across it in enough time to make a decision or speak about it on the floor of Parliament. Don't shut me out, Prime Minister. Tell your ministers don't shut me out because you don't want me to see the legislation, or I might tell the Australian people my opinion about what you're wanting to push through in the Parliament.
Yep. Because
they deserve... Remember, only 33% of Australians voted for the Labor Party. 67% didn't. 67% didn't.
True.
So therefore, you're not representing the majority of Australians. So never forget that.
Well pointed out. A report was released yesterday, Pauline, on the state of Australia's environment, and the results weren't great. The report found the environment is in a poor condition, has deteriorated over the last 5 years, apparently due to climate change. and a list of other factors. I've got to say, this correlation between our emissions and our natural disasters is simply unscientific.
What a load of bunkum the whole thing is. Chris, look at who's on it, the CSIRO, you know, who claims to be a scientist. A lot of these people claim to be scientists are only academics that don't follow the true science, which is based on data and facts. What I'd say is, what has an Indigenous lawyer got to do with doing this report? And why is there another academic from the university that's also doing it as well? Let me tell you, in an admission, that the CSIRO stated that they have never said that carbon dioxide comes from human emissions. So they've admitted that to Malcolm Roberts. The fact is, if you look in 2009, when we had the global financial crisis that was happening, the global emissions, because we weren't doing the mining and everything else that was happening. So anyway, but carbon dioxide increased as it did in 2020 when everyone was shut down and staying at home. It's not due to human emissions. We're heading down this path of destroying our economy, our country, based on these academics pushing their own agenda. We've never had a real debate into this, why we're headed down to this path. Yep. And I want people to really understand it.
I don't totally agree with Malcolm Roberts on whether it's coming from human habitation or not, but I do agree that there's no connection between our emissions here, which are small, and the natural disasters we have here. We should be looking at China, India and the United States for all of that. I've just been told I've run out of time. Fantastic to have you on.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Good on you, Pauline Hanson. Good to have her.